We could have two.
Might be.
You. Left my drink here last night. I was so
I
happy.
can't
it
find
was
my computer
here.
glasses all day.
Oh, no.
My computer glasses, they're in a brown case. They're somewhere between 3 or 4
I have
houses.
not seen her today.
Yeah, no, I didn't have mine here yesterday. All right, shall we call ourselves to order for the select board meeting today, April 14th? 2026. So to review the agenda, we have our public comment and then our general businesses to approve minutes from 2 of our meetings, April 8th and April 13th. To sign a letter of receipt for the Amherst Regional School District acknowledging their borrowing authorization. To sign contract renewal with Haley Bolton as TA. Review and approve the May 9th meeting warrant. And at approximately 5 o'clock, the Army Corps of Engineers will give us information about the ongoing project at the former Air Force Terminal high frequency range facility down at 032. And then administrator report. Is there anything that has occurred in the last 48 hours that we unanticipated, Haley?
No, I don't think so.
Rita and Eric, are you okay with those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, let's open it up for public comment. So in the room, if you have public comment, you can raise hand feature. And then also in the, also on camera, please use your raise hand feature.
You're in the room?
Wow, yeah, it's good, right? So if there's any public comment, just raise your hand. I'm not seeing any. Everybody's in. Right? Okay. So let's go to our first piece of business, which is to approve the minutes for April 8th and 13th. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for April 8th, 2026.
Second.
Any edits or
Okay.
either?
By me.
Okay, not by me either. So all those in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stuck right.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Do I hear a motion to approve the April 13th minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Right, any edits on those?
No.
Nope, okay, all those in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stuck right.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. And then the next item is to sign the letter of receipt. To acknowledge the Amherst Regional School District borrowing authorization to fund capital plan projects. So we have the letter here and we just.
So this is kind of an annual.
An annual
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So we're just acknowledging we are in receipt. Doesn't necessarily mean we agree with it, but we acknowledge receipt is what they're asking. Do I hear a motion to sign the receipt for the letter for the Amherst Regional School System?
So moved.
Second.
Right, all those in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stuck right.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Give me 1 second to sign it. For you. Thank you. All right. And then the next item is a contract that we negotiated with Haley. And we have come to an agreement. So we would like to sign that. And thank you for signing it ahead of time. Do I hear a motion to sign the renewed 3-year contract for our town administrator, Haley Bolton?
Make a motion that we execute the 3-year contract with Haley Bolton,
Okay,
town administrator.
okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stuck right.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Take a moment to sign them. We have two copies, one for her and one for the town.
Haley, where are contracts being kept now? I know that's been an issue in the past.
So we have the personnel folder,
Okay.
and then I give copies to the treasurer and accountant. So they
Okay.
have it for the books.
So it's personnel contracts and then all other contracts are kept by,
Either, well, in my office, and then I always like to give a copy to Gail, so that someone else.
okay. So they're all kind of in one place and
Mhm.
easily.
I do most of them on the computer now, but there's a few
Uh-huh.
holdovers that I have paper copies of.
And then do you have we gotten like an inventory of all like older contracts that are still in existence or, I mean,
Gabe had created a special folder of all the ones that were like started during her tenure, so I have
Oh,
that.
okay.
And then preceding that, I kind of juggle between the email inbox and paper copies.
okay, all right, great, thank you. I just know that at some points when we were looking for contracts, there wasn't a kind of centralized location, so.
And what about backups for all that stuff? I know that's a bad word to use instead.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, the building burns down and all the contract
So they scanned,
Yeah, so I have, obviously there's the hard drive on my computer, but then I also have an external hard drive, so I back up at least weekly, sometimes like every other day, all the files on my computer to that. So I always have like ready to go, plug and
Right.
play. The paper ones, that's, they're in filing cabinets, metal cabinets.
fire-proof.
Yeah, so,
And the ones that are scanned are signed, the signed ones. So,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Is your sense that Gail's stuff is all backed up that way too? Just that she has?
like our accountant?
Yeah.
Um,
Or the
I-
basically it's like, on a disaster. Is there?
So a lot of what she processes goes through the Vadar system, so there's that digital record of it as well, but I could ask her. I've never asked her specifically
All right.
what's your favorite method.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Good point to ask. Thank you.
yeah.
Well, I know once we did remember we did a few years ago, we did have a problem. It was some kind of, I can't remember what it was, but remember?
Yes.
I mean, like I said, a good rule of thumb is just always give the accountant a copy so that
Uh-huh.
they've got it.
Right,
She'll end up using it just as often probably, so.
right.
That's a very good point. So we need to review the May 9th warrant. We voted on most of this the other night, Wednesday. And there was one article for the data centers that was removed completely, if I read
Mhm.
that correctly, earlier today. Which means we have one less warrant article.
So that was was it 24 material?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's totally off.
Yep.
So everything's
So
been
everything else.
reordered.
Now we have 33 articles in total.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. So
There was nothing else that we left that we didn't go through. We went through all
we
the.
went through everything that was
Yep.
there, including that one, but it was,
Okay,
with
can I
the-
just
Yeah.
scan it? Because I didn't have a
Yes.
chance to do it. Just wanted to make sure. I know there were a couple of corrections. Yep. And we got the memo from,
there's.
Um,
on the signature page.
yeah, Brennan, you're in your office, right?
Sure am.
On page 17, can you just make one change that says on this 14th day of April? And then just reprint that so the select board can sign it.
Yeah, we don't want to fast forward to May.
Till after town meeting day. And then he'll bring that down so you can sign it.
Thank you.
And then the formatting looks very good. Thank you.
Yes, it does.
It does look great.
And in terms of the constable, have we figured that out yet?
One of the many hats Mateo is wearing this season. Was Deputy Constable,
All right.
as a registered voter and upstanding character in town.
Uh-huh.
Would like to have you appoint him, so.
You didn't talk to me though.
You got a cowboy hat you can wear and stuff,
Badge.
badge.
Constable badge.
Yeah, we
I
can
don't-
deputize you.
So do we have to put, I mean, is he the constable or is he the acting constable? Or, I mean, do we need to
Deputy.
deputy? Okay. So what, does it need to say deputy or,
Yeah,
oh,
well,
It maybe should.
there is a,
just for that.
Brennan?
I don't know if it makes a difference, but when we did the election warrant, Donna had said that even though at the time it was going to be deputy constable signing it, she said to use constable.
oh, okay.
Oh,
Good,
sorry.
good, Great.
Probably.
We won't change it. Okay, great.
Yes, because a deputy or constable is still the same office.
Right.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Okay,
Good, so I'll make a motion that we, with that, one change to the 14th day of April, as on the signature page, that we, approve the 2026 annual town meeting warrant as presented.
Second,
wait a second. Okay, all those in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stalker, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Okay, Haley, let's have your town administrator report a little bit.
Sure.
While we're waiting for the.
So that appointment was one of the items on my list.
We
And
could vote on that or
didn't you just do that?
on the?
Oh, in the warrant,
Constable.
yeah.
Well,
Constable.
do we have to vote on him as the constable or we voted on the warrant?
Oh, yeah, so please vote to appoint him as.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Mateo Pongallo as the
Deputy Constable.
deputy constable for the town of Shutesbury.
Second,
All those in favor?
Farrell, I.
Stalker, aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
All right,
There you go.
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you, Mateo.
We'll be sending you a lot of thank you letters. Your appointment's over.
Yeah.
And then so just other, I know that you had the emergency management meeting yesterday, but just to go over again, you know, the barrels are still present at the school. There's not been an update on that, and that's just because there's still some testing that has to happen. You know, and of course, there's that pragmatic concern of, you know, would you get rid of some of the barrels and why would you get rid of some of them if they're not all available?
Right.
Do you stage them such that you dispose of them per barrel, or do you put the barrels into a bigger container? So there's some logistical components that deal with that.
Yeah,
But you know, I said this to the school and I'll reiterate it again, the barrels are sealed. So even though they, you know, they say hazardous material, they don't look, you know, they're not the nicest sight to be greeted with when you drive in the school, but they are safe, you know.
so is there any kind of notification before town meeting? I had mentioned it last night, like, is there any issue with people, you know, parking around there or?
People
It
should,
sound like,
yeah, I mean,
it sound like it.
playing near there shouldn't be, you know, going over there. Obviously, like if the seal is only so good as if the barrel, you know, doesn't get tipped over right in that.
Right. Does it have yellow tape or anything around that?
It does have the yellow tape.
And parents have been driving around them. I mean, when I picked up my nephew, I mean, they're there, you just drive around
Right.
they're on the island, so
Yeah.
they're not in the road.
Right.
So
So should we just like acknowledge it and either in the school newsletter or has she already covered that?
Has, we've certainly put that out in a few like notices to the town. We had a meeting, Frank McGinn and I and Matthew Warner from Ty and Bond. We stressed, you know, the urgency.
Right.
But I will check in with him again to see how much more time they think might need to elapse before they're gonna be.
Yeah, maybe it's
Put
just,
that in the Friday 5 thing.
Yeah.
Because that.
yeah, like a
Oh, yeah.
pre-town meeting.
like you're gonna see.
Like a special edition.
There's, don't be alarmed,
Right.
it's,
There's
you know,
legal-
being dealt with, right, because you are, you know,
Yeah.
addressing that, but might be some.
Yes, people not to play around with
Just,
them.
and the more you repeat it. the
Yeah.
more people-
We can definitely do that. I can definitely do like a special before the election.
Yeah.
Or
Before
Before
the
town
town
meeting.
meeting, yeah.
one, but so
Yeah,
that,
maybe it's just maybe it's just one about town meeting, remember this, remember that.
Yep.
By the way, you might see these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by the way, as you drive in,
You know,
don't try to cross the median, try to cross the circle.
no, don't do that.
It's a little disconcerting if you walk in, you don't know,
Yeah.
if you didn't know anything.
Yeah.
If you didn't know,
If you don't have the not, yeah, if you haven't seen any previous communications, it would definitely be
Right.
trying.
right,
But I can say, you know, again, all the remediation costs, those are covered by our insurance, so that's that 10K deductible that we had talked about earlier. And then repair costs to the actual oil tank itself, those are expenses that the town will be, has incurred and will have to spend. Thank you.
thanks, Brandon.
And so,
His letters for his appointment.
Thank you.
and so essentially where we're at, we're thinking about some short-term solutions to the tank. So that's replacing the gasket, that's resealing the tank and getting the alarm sensor activated again.
Right.
So those will help us, you know, just kind of keep an eye on the current situation. And then I think DEP and the LSPs, I think they have a 120-day window within which they need to provide us a report. So we don't have those bits yet. That's what'll help us make that long-term decision about what we want to do next. In terms of, you know, do we want to do we want to take the tank out and maybe do an above ground tank? Do we want to look at heat pumps? But in the meantime, you know, those are the three things that we're looking at. And we're not really in a position yet to move forward on those until all the testing is done. They want to see more about like where the leaks are, if there are any more, right? Because we don't know that for certain.
Frank mentioned a May 11th date. I'm trying to read.
He did.
Yep.
Yeah.
May 11th is our 60-day mark. So that's
Okay.
the first report to DEP will be due.
Okay.
So we've still got a little bit of time before then, and hopefully we'll have more word from Ty and Bond because that'll be used in the report.
Yes.
I think I was gonna say something else, but
Sorry.
that's me. But yeah, so that's where we're at. We're gonna do some additional testing and just to confirm everything.
Do you
And
have any estimate on what the repair piece of this is gonna cost?
no, not yet.
Based on what Frank said last night, it sounded like the repair, well, the alarm system was pretty high
Right.
and we're band-aiding whatever we decide to do.
Yeah,
Right.
more or
So
less, yeah.
ultimately, more of a solution-oriented decision probably.
The alarm system is the most like intricate
Oh, right,
of
yeah.
it.
right. I think that was like $25,000.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really,
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I know Frank said this yesterday, but just to reiterate, so we have asked Western Mass Environmental to take over the monitoring of the tank. So that way we can ensure that, you know, whatever else happens, we have professional eyes on it, sure that, you know, if there's to make another call to DEP, we can do that.
and whose budget does that get incorporated into?
I mean, my understanding is we would pull that out of just town building. You know, I don't think that I know that the school between the boiler costs that they've also been dealing with, they're pretty much at capacity in terms of maintenance.
And this would be an ongoing, I mean, this would be an expense
Right.
in the
Yes.
new fiscal year too. So I just was asking because,
No, I think it's a good question.
Yeah.
No, and I think it goes back to conversations we've had where, you know, do we have an assessment of our maintenance needs and are we putting enough money aside for
right,
routine maintenance and
Yeah.
preventative maintenance?
right.
Is this something that would fall under us declaring an emergency and be able to use something that aligned to overspend? Because it is a bit of an emergency.
I will double check
Or
on that.
has
I
been,
know
at least to this point.
we had thought that, I think early in the stages of doing that in the same way that we did for the dam repair. I believe what we had decided at that time was since the insurance was covering it, we weren't gonna go that route because that would have, with them covering their remediation costs, that saves the town
Money, yeah.
Right,
like a
Okay.
considerable amount.
okay.
So that's the school. So it's, you know, I don't want to say hurry up and wait, but there is some more work that needs to be done before things can be taken off site and we can start making those repairs. But it is like active, you know, Ty and Bond is out there a couple times a week. So it's not you know, someone is
And
paying attention.
And it's not currently leaking, right? The
Right.
tight test worked. It
Mhm.
didn't leak. They
Yes,
put
we
the
did
tight-
pass
the
that.
Tight test. yeah.
So this is just, we want to make really sure, where it's underneath the ground and obviously you can't see it. So we just want to make sure that we really have a complete understanding of the process. And then pivoting to the dam. So we have contractors on site. I was at a site meeting. I can't believe that was yesterday. But so they're ready to work. They're going to work. They anticipate that within the next 2 weeks that it'll be repaired. And so, and by repair, I mean that they will have installed a new trash rack. They're doing some additional work, and I would probably need my engineers to really speak to the intricacy of it. But just looking at how the water flows. The next 2 weeks is really about how does the water flow and what are the areas of concern? Where is it going that we don't want it to go? And how do we make it so that it flows where we do want it to go? In very lay terms, that's what's happening. And then so after that repair work is done, so that will hopefully get us out of that unsafe, does that poor designation, unsafe, and get us back up where we had been prior to the discovery of the sinkholes back in November. And then there'll be some assessment period following that repair work, right? So if folks are expecting the trash racks in, the lake's gonna go right back up, that's not gonna happen. Just to be realistic and be honest with people, there will be some time where we have to see, is this having the effect that we want? Is it fixing the issue that was, that we needed to address? And if it does, then that's great. And we can gradually raise that water.
Well, Lenny was talking yesterday about 1.5 inches a day or something.
I don't think that the engineering firm or contractors have said anything specific. That might be just like a ballpark to kind of help you visualize, but it'd be incremental.
Right.
So, between LWAC and the Lake Wyola Association, I don't know, do they do regular communications? I mean, just getting the word out to people around the lake.
Once it starts
Kind of a targeted message, is
Yep.
that,
It's certainly doable.
yeah.
And I think that can take more shape once they've finished and once we
Yeah.
kind of have a sense
Have a-
of,
Yeah.
you know,
It would be good just to give an update, and I don't know if anybody's planning, so let's see, how many weeks till town meeting? Is it, we're April 14th, so a town meeting will know, right?
yeah.
So if something goes out before town meeting and then a town meeting, I think
We can.
on these big things, I think there should be kind of an update at the beginning of town meeting.
Part of it is finding that balance of you don't want to tell people too far out that then they're just worried,
Right,
but we want to give, an accurate assessment.
enough information.
Yeah. So we're starting to say, hey, this is the process,
Right.
have boots on the ground. So now we can confirm that, this is when we anticipate the repairs happening. And these are the next steps. So.
So I'm trying to remember last year, so there was a time for reports from boards and
I think it was.
It's usually in the middle. It's
at
usually
the beginning.
Yep.
And then who would, if we were gonna do something, would that be something from the select board then?
about the dam.
About the dam and also about the school. Maybe it's somebody else. We don't necessarily have to do it. But I'm just wondering if it makes more sense for.
Yeah, I mean, I
From
can-
you or from one of us.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely put
figure that
something
out.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can figure
That's
that out.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, it's important.
again, kind of you have to repeat things a few
Yes.
times before people can really, because I need to hear it multiple times. I heard it
Yes.
tonight. You want me to hear it again tonight,
Yeah.
so,
It's really
it's a lot.
technical stuff too.
Yeah,
This is not,
Yeah.
it's not a simple walk in the park. These are
Right.
things that have a lot of moving parts.
literally.
Yeah.
figuratively.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was.
And it could change- could change by the time we get there.
Dam too, that whole thing.
Oh, sure. So I was able to connect with the abutters and, I think we had a good understanding kind of where we are, where we need to be. One of the things that they had kind of suggested that maybe the town could look at, because we do own a section of that land with where the dam access is. Yeah, I don't have the parcel number in front of me, but, so could we put in like an actual path instead of it just being dirt, we
Mhm.
put in a path and maybe some kind of like fencing, just to kind of make it so that this is what the town has and this is what the abutters have.
Something visual delineation.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty straight.
Property line,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty good way to solve the problem,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
You know.
An encroachment, either by us or by them.
Yeah, right, no.
And then that way, I mean, obviously, I think Howie knows his stuff, but if there ever was another dam keeper, or if someone else had to access the lake, that can help
Right.
clear if this is where you need to go.
Yeah. Okay,
So that's done. And then, so basically timeline for them is, I said I'd let them know, talk with all of you. And then I'm hoping that, once the repair work is done, maybe if they're back in town, we could just take a walk, at least one of you, myself and them, just to kind of,
so it is.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and do something like that. Or, we can obviously adjust that plan if needed, but that's the most flexible option.
Is it your assessment that you think we need to get some sort of easement across their land, or that we will have, that there'll be sufficient for anything, like, because when we do more significant, if we have to do more significant repairs, is it bigger equipment, therefore necessitating?
It's a factor to consider based on the title review that we had done. I think that what we have is sufficient. I'm not a heavy machinery expert, so there may be, and I think they had also alluded to the fact that, there might be a time when that needs to be readjusted based on the size of the equipment, but generally speaking, we have enough with what is ours.
How wide is it? 20 feet or?
They were bringing,
somewhere
what machine were they bringing? Yeah, remember?
It was,
Some sort of excavator.
yeah.
So that's at
Like it
least,
had those big.
yeah. So, the tracks. So,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be at least 11 feet wide. So there's certainly
Yeah.
enough
So
for
it's
that.
15 feet or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
I can double check the
Yeah.
results too, just.
Yeah, yeah, it's just, for future reference.
Yeah,
If,
good
it's
point.
just thinking ahead
Because
because,
they may use a crane or something,
Right.
They're gonna get
Right.
it.
Yeah,
And that has feet. so.
they've got to be able to move rocks and sand and all that kind of stuff, so. But yeah.
Just got a question.
But you finished before I.
yeah,
I think so. Yeah, those are the big things. Mostly everything else is just getting ready for town meeting and just keeping tabs on these big projects.
All right, there's someone that entered. Mary Lou, go ahead.
Hi, Mary Lou Kanka. I just have a question about attendance. This evening, I'm seeing on the board that there's a JON, and I'm curious if that person can, properly identify themselves. Thank you.
if it's John Wallace.
Possibly, but we actually can't, there's actually no Mary Lou, unfortunately, or unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to think of it. There's no requirement that participants identify themselves. We can ask that someone identify themselves when they're speaking, but not if they're simply in attendance and waiting for the
Oh,
Zoom room.
that's curious. Thank you.
Okay. So we're now we are at 5 o'clock
Yeah,
at our Army Corps of Engineers.
they're coming in person, right? They, no,
No.
oh, they're here.
Okay.
Here, here.
It's
We're
great.
here.
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think we signed the warrant, didn't we?
Yes, we did. It went around. And right there, Eric, it's in
Eric,
front of
you
the
have it?
post.
No,
No, no, it went around.
I don't have it.
I signed it
We
and
signed.
I handed it forward.
Do I have it?
May.
Hold on. Nope, not me.
This is what I do all the time.
Wait a
though,
second,
lose
just
stuff
you-
on my desk while I'm working.
You,
with it.
Did I hand it back?
and the the last
The
page.
appointment? No, I did not.
I
No,
have
no,
I
we
have the
all
page,
signed it.
because it's just the page.
It's,
We all signed it.
okay, yep, do you need it?
I didn't post it.
Okay,
And she'll need a copy of it too, because it has to go out that way.
okay,
Has to go out.
thanks, Mateo.
on it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sorry about that.
Okay,
Okay, hi. We will, so for anyone who is not followed this, at lot 032, we did have a former Air Force terminal VHF range facility radio tower. And so there had been some equipment that needed to be removed and there was a gas leak and the Army Corps of Engineers had taken it over. And right now they've come to give us an update on that ongoing project. So can I turn it over to you to give us your update?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Oh, thank
I
you, Grace.
can. Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm going to kick us off today. My name is Grace Carmichael from the Army Corps of Engineers. I am the project manager for the library site. We might have some other folks from the Army Corps join us as the meeting goes, but they might be a little bit late. So we are here to present the results from the July/August 2025 investigation at Parcel 032, or the new library site. And we're going to talk about our investigation and our planned path forward. So from here, I'm going to turn things over to Travis Williamson, the PM for Tidewater, who's one of the contractors for the Army Corps performing the work.
Okay, thanks, Grace. Before I get going, can you all just confirm that you're able to see my screen? It's a cover slide that has the title and a map on it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, and I'm assuming I'm coming through loud and clear. Your audio is amazing. I wanted to compliment you on it, by the way. It's impressive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So, as Grace indicated, my name's Travis Williamson. I am an environmental engineer and project manager with Tidewater, and we are the environmental contractor that's been supporting the Army Corps of Engineers in planning and executing some investigation activities last year. So before I get into the slides, I wanted to actually use this one to just orient everyone. I'm sure everybody knows sort of where we're talking about, but just to make sure. So parcel 032 is outlined here with this red boundary. Can you tell me, are you able to see my cursor as I move it over the screen or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So that's the property boundary for parcel 032. The nice new beautiful library that you all have there is shown here in this green hatched area. The address is 66 Leverett Road. In the area that we focused all the investigation activities that we're going to talk about tonight, we're further down to the south on that parcel. You see this pink dot here. That pink dot represents a concrete pad that was installed back in the early 60s when the radar facility went in and is actually still there today. So I just want to point that out to everyone because you'll see it pop up in some pictures and on some figures, and I think it just helps get your bearings. So, the library facilities up here in the green hatched area. And then as you move further to the south, you sort of transition into a wooded area. Looking at the zoning classifications there in the town, this is in the southern portion of this boundary, it's forest conservation. So there's this path shown in yellow that we were able to use to get back into the area and get access to the various sampling locations that we wanted to collect some data at. So just an overview of really, why we're here tonight. We want to give you an update on the activities that the Army Corps of Engineers has conducted at Parcel 032. We want to share the results from investigations that were performed last July and August. And the main objectives of those investigations were first and foremost to delineate the nature and extent of petroleum contamination around a former underground storage tank. And in the process of being out there, also collecting some updated surveying data for all of the sampling locations and the well locations so that when we collected depth to groundwater measurements, we were sure to be able to map and understand the groundwater flow direction in the area. We're going to talk about the fact that the local drinking water is protected and there's no complete pathways between the underground storage tank, petroleum constituents, and local drinking water, and then talk about the path forward at the site. And as I indicated, here's the pink dot. This is the concrete pad that was part of the radar facility. And in the next slide, you're going to see some pictures where the former UST essentially was located right here. And there's some pictures of it being removed back in 1994, along with soil that was around that underground storage tank. So a little bit of history. The U.S. government established a lease for Parcel 032 in 1957. And then between 1960 and 1962, the Air Force constructed the concrete pad that had a tower on it. There was an emergency power unit shelter associated with the radar facility, and then a 275 gasoline underground storage tank that you can actually see in these bottom two pictures that supplied fuel to that emergency power unit. The facility was done and constructed in 1962. It operated until 1967. At that point, the lease expired and wasn't renewed. And between 1967 and 1972, the facility was dismantled and removed. And the area essentially left to revegetate on its own naturally. Between 1972 and 1994, I don't know that there was really much going on out there. But then in 1994, you see these pictures where the underground storage tank was removed on September 14th. And then a couple weeks later, there were soils excavated from around where the tank cavity was, where the tank was removed. In all, there was about 100 tons of soil excavated from the area, which would, on a typical truck would probably be somewhere between 5 and 7 truckloads of soil that was excavated and hauled out of the area. In 2004, the town of Shutesbury acquired property ownership. And then in 2021, there were some sampling activities being carried out at the parcel in support of the new library project. And there was a sampling location located near the former UST where there was a soil sample collected that returned a result of petroleum constituents that equaled a level that state notifications required to the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. So when that soil sample came back and the result equaled the notification criteria, notifications were made, various steps were carried out, and a release tracking number that you can see here on this slide was assigned by Mass DEP. There were some additional investigations, primarily focused on groundwater, that were carried out in 2022 and 23. And then in May of 2024, the Army Corps of Engineers issued a contract to plan and implement the investigation activities that we're here to present to you tonight. Again, primarily focused on defining the exact boundary of petroleum constituents in this area. This slide provides an overview of the different types of sampling that we conducted as part of the investigation. So the first thing we did was we implemented something we call high-resolution screening, high-resolution site characterization, which consists of a couple of technical terms and devices that are used. So membrane interface probe and a hydraulic profiling tool. are essentially devices that you can use with a geoprobe, which is shown in this bottom left figure, where you've got cables and probes on these rods as they advance from ground surface down to the terminal depth, collecting information to determine are there petroleum constituents in the soil or groundwater at these locations, and if so, at what intervals, at what depths. So we wanted to go out and just collect this information to get a good handle on, okay, where are we seeing petroleum constituents and where aren't we seeing petroleum constituents? And then we use that data to guide next steps in the investigation. So we used it to identify where we wanted to locate 16 soil borings. And the next slide will show you a map of where all of these sampling locations were placed. So we advanced 16 soil borings. We collected a total of 37 soil samples from those 16 borings. We also installed 7 new groundwater monitoring wells, which led to the network that exists out there to now be 15. There were 8 existing monitoring wells that had been installed between 2021 and 2023. And then we collected groundwater samples from all 15 well locations. The vertical extent of the sampling that we conducted was from the ground surface down to apparent bedrock. Of the deepest sampling location we had was 23 feet, which was the location right within that cavity where the UST, the underground storage tank, was removed. So the quote unquote source area location. Like I said, this is a map. I don't expect you to necessarily be able to discern all of these different types of locations. It's really just, showing everything on a map where we have the concrete pad. The UST was located just south of it. And we have a total of 19 membrane interface probe locations. They're shown with the black dots and the white labels. We have the 16 soil borings, which are they're really small black dots with some white around them and the white labels. And then the 15 monitoring well locations are shown with the blue dots and the blue labels. These sampling locations are in addition to some soil sample borings that were advanced between 2021 and 2023 around the former underground storage tank, and the groundwater samples that were collected previously. And as I indicated on the last slide, the depth of our sampling was from ground surface down to 23 feet. The depth of previous sampling was between 7 and 13 feet. And really, take-home point on this slide is just the fact that there have been a lot of samples collected in and around this former UST location to get a handle on where is there petroleum contamination and more importantly, where isn't there petroleum contamination. I indicated one of the objectives that we wanted to meet was to make sure we understand groundwater flow direction. So the way that we did that was we got updated survey information for all of the groundwater monitoring wells. So we knew exactly what the elevation of each of those wells was. We measured the distance or the depth between the top of each of those wells down to the water, the groundwater, so that we knew what the elevation of the groundwater was. And you essentially use those measurements at these 15, actually, 8, there are a couple other wells that were installed historically to support some groundwater investigations. We took water levels there as well. Anyway, we used the groundwater elevation data to map out the elevation of groundwater, which represents which direction will it flow. So this is essentially a contour map where, similar to the topography out there, we're sort of up on a hill or an elevated area is where this radar facility was constructed. And the groundwater elevation data suggests a radial flow pattern away from the top of that hill. There is some indication of a more dominant southeasterly flow direction based on the topography out there and the data that's been collected. But we use this information to just make sure that we know where we need to be looking for petroleum impacts relative to the former source area. Moving on to the soil results. Overall, soil was not, there really was not very much detected in soil, and the impacts were minimal. We didn't have any petroleum odors or observe any staining in surface soils that we collected from the 16 soil borings. There was one sample in the 37 where there was a single chemical in a sample detected above the Massachusetts contingency plan's most conservative standard. The chemical is called methyl tertiary butyl ether. It's an additive that was added to gasoline back in the 70s to lead it to burn cleaner, to cut down on potential air pollution. Anyway, it was detected in the soil sample from the boring right there where the old tank was located, and at 0 to 3 feet, there was a concentration of MTB at 0.12 milligrams per kilogram, which is slightly above the criteria of 0.1 milligrams per kilogram. There was a 20 to 23 foot soil sample collected at that same location, deep, where there were no detections of anything, showing that there's no downward migration or movement of any petroleum constituents in the source area. And there were no other exceedances of any of the MCP criteria in any of the other soil samples that we collected and analyzed during the investigation. So the main takeaway there is really there's no source of contamination in soil that could lead to any additional spread or further impacts to groundwater in the area. So that's soil. Moving on to groundwater. So there's more groundwater data, and I don't expect you to be able to see these numbers or see the names of these chemicals. It's really just a representation of all of the groundwater data, and the 3 locations that are shown in red, slightly south and southeast of the former underground storage tank, are the only locations that we detected any concentrations in groundwater above the Massachusetts Contingency Plan GW1 criteria, which are the criteria that get applied to drinking water. So those you can see the shading in red. Those are the chemicals where there were any exceedances, and they're in this localized area of the former underground storage tank. For those wells that had been sampled previously in 2022 or 2023, you see the tables are a little bit wider because there's more data points, more samples have been collected over time. And when we look at the concentrations over time, we see that the concentrations are either stable or decreasing over time, which is good. It means there's no continuing source that's feeding groundwater that's leading to fluctuating or increasing concentrations. And then outside of that 45-foot area to the south and southeast, we didn't detect any concentrations in groundwater that were above the GW1 criteria. And that includes locations that are sort of in this vicinity around the UST, and then further away to the north and other directions around the area. So the MIP HPT data, the soil data, and the groundwater data, all point to that there's no impacts to local groundwater, local drinking water anticipated from the historical DoD activities. The site is classified as a potential drinking water source area, and that means that we are applying and comparing the data to the most protective GW1 criteria. And that's what the tables on that previous slide are doing. And then the nearest water supply wells. So there's wells located along Pelham Hill Road, and then there's a well associated with the new library that are ranging between 600 and 950 feet away from the former underground storage tank. So the nearest well is a little over 600 feet away. The impacts that we detected in soil and groundwater are within 45 feet of the former underground storage tank. And then the petroleum constituents that we detected are in soil and groundwater between 0 and 20 feet, while the drinking water wells in the area are drawing water from depths of 300 to 600 feet below ground surface, so quite a bit deeper. Our conclusion of all of this information is that there's no complete pathways between petroleum impacts from the former underground storage tank and local drinking water. But we do want to go out, and I'll present on this slide. We want to collect one more quantitative data point in a location to the northwest of the former UST between a monitoring well 14 and monitoring well 15. We have some MIP HPT locations out here that did not show the presence of any petroleum hydrocarbons in soil or groundwater in this area. But just to be certain, the Army Corps does plan to install one more well and to sample that well along with all of the other wells again to provide a quantitative data point, formally documenting that there's no petroleum hydrocarbons at that location above GW1 criteria. And that what we saw last year, which was, if GW1 exceedances are localized and near the former underground storage tank in this area, and not outside that immediate localized area from the former UST. So this leads us, we just got a couple more slides. The next slide I'm going to hand over to Grace, talks about the path forward. And then we've just got one more slide wrapping everything up, and then we'll open it up for questions, discussion. Grace?
Yeah, thanks, Travis. So as Travis discussed on the last slide, we plan to install an additional monitoring well likely later this year. And around the same time, we will perform an additional round of groundwater sampling on the 16 well network, which will include the newly installed well. And we're going to use the data that we collect to update the recent field report that was uploaded for the site under EDEP on the Massachusetts website, as well as to update the risk evaluation for the site. And just to reiterate a point Travis made earlier, the existing data indicates there is likely no risk. However, we are going to install this additional monitoring well to confirm that MIP data and confirm there are no petroleum impact in that area. So following that, there are two possible paths forward that depend on the data we plan to collect from the new well later this year, as well as the results of that updated risk evaluation. So the formerly used defense site program, which is the Army Corps program this work is conducted under, requires risk to be present for petroleum sites to be eligible for the formerly used defense site or FUDS program. So if this new data indicates there is no risk, that means the site would no longer be eligible for the FUDS program. And if that's the case, the site would be closed out under the Army Corps formerly used defense site program. And it would follow, then it would be up to the state program to determine how the site proceeds. The other path forward, if the data that we collect from this newly installed monitoring well later this year indicates there is still a risk, then the Army Corps would continue with the Massachusetts contingency program process of the state program. So I'll turn it back over to Travis.
All right, and just briefly, so just summary of our findings, key takeaways regarding site characterization. The site is mostly characterized. The reason we didn't say fully characterized is we're gonna put that one more well in, but it's mostly characterized. The data shows that groundwater concentrations are stable to decreasing over time. I've talked a couple of times about the localized impacts and the fact that petroleum impacts are confined to this small area of 45 feet in the immediate vicinity of the former underground storage tank. There's no threat anticipated to local drinking water wells from the historical DOD activities in this radar facility. But we will be conducting this final verification of installing one additional well, sampling it along with the entire well network to just formally confirm that there's no petroleum constituents above GW1 standards outside that 45-foot, immediate vicinity of the former UST. That concludes our technical slides. This is Grace's contact information for anyone. If you may need to get in touch with her after the meeting or on down the road, you have that. And at this time, we'd open it up for questions, comments, discussion.
Yeah, go ahead if you have.
Yeah, so I guess my, first of all, thank you for that presentation. That was very thorough and clear. So my question has to do with DEP and the coordination between you, Travis, and you, maybe the Army Corps of Engineers with DEP. Have you shared this information with them? And where does the town then stand vis-a-vis our orders? The conditions that we might be subject to. If you guys wrap your work up, what are we going to face with DEP?
Yeah, I can answer that. So yes, Mass DEP is aware that this is a possibility. We've spoken with them briefly about it. And as for the town's responsibilities going forward, I can touch base with them and get back to you. I'm not really sure as far as the responsibilities to Mass DEP going forward. But as we go through the process, they'll, I imagine, become a little more involved, and we can discuss that with them.
Yeah, I guess the question is whether or not any of these results, in terms of the groundwater, are we still going to be under some sort of DEP oversight of this site?
Sure, and that is something I'll have to get back to you on.
Okay.
I don't have a full answer to that right now.
Okay.
Eric, do you have any questions?
No, that was similar to my question.
Okay. Do you have questions?
Can
I don't have questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you able to share these slides with us if we wanted to put them up on our website for people who may not have been here tonight?
Yes, definitely.
That was all I had.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
I see Mary Lou's hand up.
Yes.
Hi,
Go ahead, Mary.
my name
You should.
is Mary Lou Kanka, and my question is for Mr. Williamson. You mentioned
Yeah.
something about Tide Water. Is that the name of your company?
It is.
Okay, so
Yes.
I have a question about that.
Okay.
Did the town of Shutesbury hire you, or are you working for the USACE?
I am a contractor for the Army Corps of Engineers. So I have a contract that they issued to uh, the company that I work for. So I'm working for the Army Corps of Engineers and not the town.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Was there any other questions?
Yeah, I guess I have one other question.
Yeah.
If, I guess my question relates to if, we ever wanted to do any other kind of development at the back of that site, would we be precluded from doing that by virtue of the groundwater contamination in those 3 wells that are there? If, say we wanted to put, another town building back there and we needed water. Would anything stop the town from being able to dig a well back there?
I mean, strictly speaking, with the fact that there are GW1 exceedances in the immediate vicinity of this former underground storage tank, you would not want to put a drinking water well in that location, or in a location that's going to draw water from this area. So, I mean, there's a well up here that's associated with the new library, that's 950 feet away. I mean, and the data that's been collected indicates, there's no contamination migrating away that's going to be of any risk to that area, or any of the other wells in the vicinity. Um, But I mean, until the concentrations are below drinking water standards, you wouldn't want to have a well there drawing water.
So would the town go ahead.
Oh, that's right there, right?
Yeah.
But not, you could be some number of feet away from that or whatever.
Conceivably,
okay.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, right.
you would make, you would want to do some, you would want to evaluate like how close could you be and not cause any problems. But yeah, exactly. I mean, you wouldn't want to put a well right there by that former underground storage tank. Um, in terms of how far away you would need to be, I mean, there's probably different regulations and just some technical evaluation that would need to be done to come to that determination.
And is there any reason that the town would need to continue to monitor those wells? Is that something that you think DEP might require us to do, testing those wells? It's hard. I know it's hard for you
Yeah,
to say,
I
but is
think
there
that
any
goes
reason?
back to that
Yeah.
goes back to the other question that Grace couldn't really fully answer,
Yeah,
is just
okay.
understanding as this evolves and this additional round of data gets collected, and depending on what it says will dictate the path forward. And if it's, one versus the other, what does that mean? Yeah, I think, until I think trying to understand that now is obviously better. But until we get there, we may not have a full understanding of where it's going to go.
Okay, thank you. Mary Ann.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. It was very clear. So you're going to have to come in and put in one more well, which means bringing in a geoprobe, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
and are you planning to come through the library parking area? and over the newly made grassy shoulder?
Yes, I guess. But if, we will have like a remote, like an off-road type of geoprobe again that is
Right.
intended to minimize any damage. And if there's something, we can lay things down to sort of traverse over if there's something, like really nice grass over the curb that you don't want us to mess up or what have you. Like we can work with you on those kinds of things. Like we do not want to mess anything up at all. But yeah, I'm not sure how else we would get there if we weren't
Okay.
coming into the parking lot, sort of parking somewhere in the back and then moving over top of whatever curb and what might be there.
Right, right. I think it's really the only way to get there. So, but
Yeah,
you'll work with us to try and protect,
for sure.
really, we have an emerging landscaping happening. It
Got
was
it.
just planted at the end. And we'll just be getting it started. And then I don't know when you're planning on doing this work, but it'll just be getting started. And then I think you'll potentially tear it up. And so
Yeah.
it'd be nice if you could repair it.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we will definitely account for that in our plans
Okay.
and make sure if we mess anything up, we will fix it.
Okay.
We don't want to make you mad, Marianne. You've been very helpful through the whole project.
We don't either. We don't want to make them mad.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate all the support.
Yeah. Okay.
Good one. Yeah. So thank you for the presentation. I think we're gonna move on to our meeting. If you could email those slides, Grace, or to Haley, that would be great. And she can put them up on the wall on the internet and we'll have them for the select board files. So that's great.
Excuse me,
Oh.
Melissa, I put my hand back up.
Maybe she can submit it.
I don't know if you'll
Yeah,
entertain
could you,
a second question.
Mary Lou, could you send us an email with your question and we can ask the crew directly? So we can finish up our agenda for this evening.
All righty.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much and we appreciate you coming and updating us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. No, we appreciate the
Thanks a lot.
time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, was there anything else?
Yeah, I think I would add this to the list for a town meeting,
Mhm.
just in terms of, key update.
Yeah, I could take,
Yeah.
well, too bad they're not talking,
Oh.
but you can take the slides and kind of condense them into like a more digestible format
Yeah.
with a link to go back to the website if you want the full slides.
Yeah, I think the other concern for me, I mean, I was sort of expressing it is I just want to know before they're out of the picture, where things stand with DEP. So, and I don't recall, I mean, maybe Marianne has a name, but
Well, I can also ask, because
yeah.
you're working with them anyway on the school.
Right, yeah, I
Sure.
probably have in my notes if I was gonna go back, but people changed.
Right.
So, I mean, there were dedicated
Special.
staff people
Yeah.
for this. So, it'd be really good to
get a
to
quick-
talk to them. Yeah, because my big concern is then DEP is gonna come back in and say, oh, well, now, we want you to test those wells every 6 months, or that we're gonna still be under some kind of an order. And the Army Corps of Engineers has said, we're adding.
The real question is if that first choice, what I would be calling FUDs or whatever.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
first, the one on the top there is met, that is to say that there's no need for this company to do anything else. If they say that's true, is that it? Are we done?
Well,
That's your question.
yes, that's sort of my question is that I doubt it. I
Yeah.
mean, it would be very nice if
Given our history of
DEP
them.
said, yeah, but
Right,
I-
especially if we're not using it.
yeah, if we're not using it, but now we'll have all these wells there.
Mhm.
And, I know with the fire station, we were still testing many years out after the underground storage tank.
And that was a
It's-
moving target. That was,
That was
sometimes it was less, sometimes it was more.
Right.
Consistently. moving,
right.
Yeah.
And that was sort of what I remember when, is it Fussin and Neal? I can't remember
Yeah.
whoever, when they came in, that, they were getting different readings too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they had readings now from 2025 and we had stuff from 2022. So, I mean, that's good. And we know the numbers, but
Great.
I think
Yeah, they've done a lot of testing.
they've done a lot of
Good.
testing and we have more wells now. So I think we just need to understand, because we know that every time you test a well, even if it's a few $100s and it,
Oh,
yeah.
just, it adds up and.
I sent myself a note.
Something to.
Yeah.
prepare for.
Yeah, it's just before they're gone. I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be a little while because they have to put that other well in and then they have to get the results. But it'd be good to start that discussion with DEP now.
Well, maybe they could report to us too at the end.
Yeah.
They're done with that. Well, what's the final?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, we would want them to come
Yeah.
back and give us the result.
Because
of
this is a
that
very
work.
good
It
presentation.
was very good.
Yeah,
to me.
yes, yeah, no, it was very thorough, but I'm still, I'm
No,
still,
I think
I have resent.
Well, there's still, unknowns. So
yeah.
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 it's
Yeah.
unknown,
Yeah.
whatever.
it's more known, but it's still unknown, right?
Right.
It's more known to us. Okay. That sounds good. Was there anything else that we needed to talk about on our agenda tonight? Our next meeting is,
When is our next meeting?
just checking.
28th.
We've been at the 28th.
Okay.
I'm in May, but, okay, so the 28th. All right. Okay. Or unless we need the one before then.
Yes, or that.
Okay. So with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All right, all in favor?
Carol, I.
stock right.
Make peace O'Neill.
And happy birthday again, Haley.
Happy
You're
birthday.
gonna call my happy birthday husband now.
Birthday